Xiaomi 12. Xiaomi aims to establish the upcoming Xiaomi 12 as their new flagship smartphone, thereby reinforcing their position as the world's second largest smartphone manufacturer. Similar to their previous releases, the Mix 4 and Xiaomi Pad 5, Xiaomi is not only omitting the Mi from the name, but also some features of the predecessor. Compared to the Xiaomi 12 Pro, the regular Xiaomi 12 appears almost like a stripped-down version of the flagship. Is Xiaomi attempting to return to their roots with the Xiaomi 12? Xiaomi has been steadily increasing the size of their smartphones in recent generations, and they finally hit a 6.81-inch diagonal with the Mi 11. But now they're doing a bit of a U-turn with the Xiaomi 12, which measures in at only 6.28 inches. Size matters. After continuously increasing in size with each new generation, reaching 6.81 inches on the Mi 11, Xiaomi has taken a step back with the Xiaomi 12, which measures only 6.28 inches diagonally. This puts it on par with most smartphones from 2 or 3 years ago, but calling it compact would still be an exaggeration. However, it is difficult for readers to truly gauge how a current top-of-the-line smartphone feels in terms of size. With large hands, single-handed use is almost entirely possible, and for smaller hands, Xiaomi has integrated a sidebar similar to those found on Realme smartphones. Eye for detail. Before its release, the Xiaomi 12 was already being compared to the iPhone 13, with the phone being 69.9mm wide, slightly thinner than the latest Apple smartphone. Xiaomi claims that this 1.6mm difference is noticeable, but I can only agree with this in a direct comparison. Nevertheless, the iPhone 13, with a diagonal of 6.1 inches, is still slightly smaller than the Mi 12. In addition to increasingly better hardware, a phone's look and feel are crucial, making size an important factor. Taking a closer look at the Xiaomi 12 and 12 Pro, the design language of the flagship series is apparent. It looks like a cross between the Xiaomi Mi 11 and the Xiaomi 11T Pro, but the front differs particularly in one aspect from its predecessor. The front camera is now in the center, rather than in the upper left corner. This was actually the unique selling point of Xiaomi's top models. As in previous generations, the display is curved. Personally, I could do without a curved display, but Xiaomi will probably only offer a flat alternative with the Xiaomi 12T Pro. The back follows the understatement motto, as hardly anything is visible except for the camera module and the Mi branding. The camera module on the Xiaomi 12 series houses 3 cameras, with the main sensor taking up the most space at the top and slightly offset from the other 2 sensors. The individual sensors are even optically separated by fine lines and reminiscent of the OnePlus 9 Pro. This is a common feature of all the new models in the Xiaomi 12 series. The Xiaomi 12 comes in a total of 4 colors: black, pink, blue, and green. The green colorway is equipped with a faux leather back, while the other backs are made of matte glass. The blue variant, which we really like due to its matte finish, reminiscent of the Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro but with a more pronounced frost look. They've used the time since the last release to add new details like the thicker inward sloping speaker grills that resemble a waveform file, fitting perfectly with the Harman Kardon branding at the top. The IR blaster is now almost oval, not just round. Xiaomi should reconsider changing the design language every year, as it reduces brand recognition. How is the Xiaomi 12 built? For the first time in a while, I associate the word hand pleaser with a smartphone. In addition to its size, the matte back with rounded edges on the left and right is a delight to hold. Since one holds such a device for 3 to 6 hours a day, it is better to have a pleasant experience. The device weighs 180 grams, 16 grams lighter than the Xiaomi Mi 11. While we recommend using a transparent silicone case, a protection film, not tempered glass, is already installed. The camera at the back is the only processing issue that bothers me. It looks almost like it's been glued on later, something that the competition and Xiaomi do better. At least when viewed from the side, it appears somewhat inorganic. However, Xiaomi once again impresses with good pressure points, cleanly cut out cutouts, and Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and back. It doesn't pass the wobble test, but neither do any of the top smartphones except for the Pixel series, as the camera bump goes across the entire width. Whether a smartphone needs an IP rating or official water protection is debatable. However, in the premium segment and at the competition, it has been the norm for quite some time. Consequently, Xiaomi has to accept the lack of an IP68 rating as a criticism this year. The SIM slot, for example, is sealed with rubber, indicating a certain degree of water resistance. However, this is no longer enough for a top-of-the-line phone, and it is no longer acceptable that only the Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra is equipped with the appropriate IP68 rating. Display: Xiaomi shifts into reverse gear. With its 6.28-inch diagonal, the Xiaomi 12 is relatively compact. It is a 120Hz AMOLED display with Full HD Plus resolution and a refresh rate of 120Hz. However, the resolution is lower than that of the predecessor. But with a smaller display, that makes sense, especially since the higher resolution requires more energy. In addition, this gives us a pixel density of 419p. The screen supports HDR10+ and Dolby Vision, as well as 12-bit color depth. With up to 1100 nits of brightness, it is particularly bright, although this value can probably only be achieved with automatic brightness and HDR content. It is protected by Gorilla Glass Victus, like the predecessor. Comparing the datasheet of the Xiaomi 12 with its predecessor reveals that Xiaomi is shifting into reverse gear. It is smaller, has a lower resolution, and still no LTPO technology, which is only available in the Pro version. But sometimes you have to shift into reverse to move forward. They are focusing on the basics. Except for the new 12-bit color depth, which is not even available on the Pro version, this is pretty standard for this price range, and the flagships of this generation offer even more. Nevertheless, it's enough. The higher resolution would be even more pointless on the smaller display, and one doesn't need more than 120Hz, and even in daylight. Display settings in MIUI. For several generations now, Xiaomi has prided itself on having particularly impressive screens. The Display Made A+ certification is just as routine as the TÜV Rheinland certification for a low blue light content. The company aims to achieve the same high standards in its software, and offers a range of settings in its own MIUI operating system, perhaps more than any other manufacturer. Thanks to its AMOLED display, the dark mode offers high contrast and can be timed. In addition to auto brightness, users can also enjoy a sunlight mode that only kicks in during extreme sunlight. Although the anti-flicker mode, reading mode, various fonts and AI functions such as HDR improvement don't show much improvement in tests, it's interesting that, as in previous models, the color scheme can be customized with many parameters. Alternatively, users can rely on one of the 3 preset color options and manually adjust the color temperature. In the version tested here, MIUI offers even more always-on display animations. First of all, it's important to note that the always-on screen is truly always on and doesn't switch off after 10 seconds. Users can choose from over 50 animations, although some need to be downloaded from the theme store. While not all of the animations can be customized in terms of color or position, users can specify what they want to be displayed. Thanks to the AMOLED display technology, there is still space for the fingerprint sensor beneath the screen. This is an optical sensor, whereas Samsung, for example, uses ultrasonic technology. Nevertheless, the fingerprint sensor under the display is quick and reliable in everyday use, as one would expect from a flagship device. Xiaomi, as usual, offers several settings for this feature. Users can set up app locks with the fingerprint sensor, as well as enable shortcuts. Holding down the sensor opens a quick menu, although the apps cannot be customized. However, users can adjust the brightness of the sensor and choose from various animations, for example, if the room is dark. However, since the Xiaomi Mi 9, the sensor under the display hasn't seen much development. What processor is in the Xiaomi 12? It was quickly clear why Xiaomi was in such a hurry to present its latest flagship at the end of 2021. One reason is that they are the first manufacturer to feature the new processor for 2022. As in previous generations, they have chosen Qualcomm's top processor, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 for 2022. The new processor offers a clock speed of up to 3 GHz and consists of Qualcomm's Creo CPU cores. The focus in this generation is not so much on increasing performance, but on efficiency. It is said to offer the best performance per watt. The Adreno 730 graphics unit, in particular, offers 30% faster graphic rendering and is 25% more efficient. In addition, the chip has a better image processing processor and better AI capabilities, which are said to be up to 400% stronger. There are also new connectivity standards such as the new Snapdragon X65 5G modem and Wi-Fi 6 and 6E. As there were heat problems with the Snapdragon 888, Xiaomi is placing a greater emphasis on improved cooling. As with the previous year, Xiaomi is using 8 or 12 GB LPDDR5 RAM with a data transfer rate of 6,400 megabits per second. 2 years ago, the rate was only 5,500 megabits per second. The UFS 3.1 storage standard is also on board, and in China, you can choose between 128 or 256 gigabytes of capacity. How fast is the Xiaomi 12? Yes, the Xiaomi 12 features the latest top chip from Qualcomm. However, in most moments, it is hard to tell if I have the Xiaomi 11 or Xiaomi 12 in my hand. The 12GB RAM on our test device provides sufficient cache so that apps opened some time ago can quickly reopen. However, I noticed the strong performance mainly with camera shots. Since the phone no longer has to process huge amounts of data from the 108MP sensor, the photos are immediately available after taking them and no longer need to be edited. Finally, gaming is, of course, no problem. This is confirmed in the speed test with the Xiaomi Mi 11. Everything is on par. However, there are some moments where the system stutters more than expected. I noticed this particularly when loading widgets that seem to be online, rather than part of the system. Other than these slight delays, there is no reproducible behavior, and it occurs sporadically. It is entirely possible that MIUI 13 still needs optimization, and it is too early to evaluate the processor based on one device. Benchmark results. As the first smartphone with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, Xiaomi has set the bar high. We have never seen 955,000 points in the Antutu benchmark before, but supposedly, the Realm GT2 Pro can even achieve 1 million points. In the 3D Wildlife test, a demanding graphical test, it outperforms the OnePlus 9 Pro with a strong frame rate of 54 FPS. However, it only shows marginal improvement in the Geekbench 5 and PC Mark benchmark compared to its predecessor, and the promised 20% increase in performance is not evident here. Although benchmarks suggest that the chip is impressive, they only provide an idea of how the chip performs. Overall, it still sounds like a slight performance upgrade. What is the battery life of the Xiaomi 12 and how does it compare to its predecessor? The Xiaomi 12's battery life has been improved compared to its predecessor, which had suboptimal battery life due to the Snapdragon 888 processor. The new Xiaomi 12, on the other hand, relies on the efficiency of its new top processor to address this issue. Since the Xiaomi 12 has a smaller display, it also comes with a smaller battery, with a capacity of 4,500 mAh, which is even smaller than the previous model. However, the display is shorter and less high resolution than the one on the Mi 11. In the benchmark, the Xiaomi 12 lasts for an hour longer than the Xiaomi Mi 11 and lasts for 10 hours at medium brightness, which is an average value for Xiaomi's mid-range devices. Nevertheless, the Xiaomi 12's battery can last for a day, but you may need to charge it in the morning of the following day. The use of an LTPO display like in the Xiaomi 12 Pro could have increased the battery life even more. MIUI offers optimization potential with its ultra power saving mode and detection of battery draining apps. The Xiaomi 12 supports 67 watts charging, which is an improvement over the 55 watts charging of the Xiaomi Mi 11. The company has also included the charger in the packaging, which is a departure from the previous generation's approach. Although the 12 watts increase in power is a minor improvement, many phones with a similar or higher charging capacity are now available at much lower prices, such as the Realm GT Master Edition, which costs less than €300. The Xiaomi 12 can be fully charged in under 40 minutes, which is fast enough for most users. Although the Xiaomi 11T Pro and Xiaomi 12 Pro offer 120 watts charging, the difference in charging time is negligible in practice. Even a 15-minute charge can provide over 50% of the battery, which is enough for a few hours of use. The Xiaomi 12 also supports 50 watts wireless charging, which can fully charge the device in less than an hour. This is as fast as the Pro version and the maximum charging speed currently available in the industry, which is shared by OnePlus and Huawei. However, the 55 watts Qi charger is not included in the package and must be purchased separately. The Xiaomi 12 also supports reverse wireless charging, which can charge other Qi-enabled gadgets like Soundcore Life P3 headphones with up to 10 watts wirelessly. The Xiaomi 12 comes with a 50MP camera with 4-in-1 pixel binning, featuring the Sony IMX766 sensor with 1.56 size that is also found in the OnePlus Nord 2 and Oppo Find X3 Pro. The lens consists of 8 glasses, with a slightly less light-sensitive f/1.9 aperture, but the sensor is optically stabilized, OIS. Additionally, the device features a 13-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera with a 123 degrees field of view and an f/2.4 aperture. Unfortunately, the third camera is a 5-megapixel macro camera. The 108MP sensor has been abandoned and is now featured in the Redmi Note 10 Pro. Overall, the camera setup is similar to that of the Xiaomi 11, while the Xiaomi 12 Pro has a different camera setup with a Sony IMX707 sensor for the main camera, a 50-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera, and a 50-megapixel telephoto camera with 2x optical zoom. Finally, the Xiaomi 12 features an upgraded 32-megapixel front-facing camera with an improved front light. The main camera of the Xiaomi Mi 12 boasts a new sensor that I personally find to be the biggest improvement, as the Sony IMX766 and the OnePlus Nord 2 has already impressed us. After dealing with a 108-megapixel sensor for 2 years, reducing the megapixels alone leads to a faster capture and processing. That's how Xiaomi managed to improve the shutter speed, allowing the Mi 12 to shoot 50 photos in the same time the Huawei P50 Pro takes just 17 shots. During the golden hour, we took some really impressive snapshots. Under such optimal lighting conditions, the photos look great, with pleasing colors and high sharpness despite a final resolution of only 12.5 megapixels. Skin tones look realistic, and even the dark blue sweater looks like dark blue rather than black, even though higher noise can be observed in the shadows. The cyber focus is another new feature, an improved autofocus with follow focus that keeps the selected object in focus even when other objects or people enter the frame. I'm surprisingly pleased with the autofocus in general, as it switches quickly and hits the mark reliably in over 90% of the photos I took. Low light shots. Speaking of noise, it's undeniable even in our office. When taking photos of people with less light, the details quickly disappear. With artificial light, the white balance could counteract the yellow tint even more for my taste. However, low light photos taken in the city with some time show much better results. The billboards are almost cinematic, and there are still enough details to read even the signs. Ultra-wide-angle camera. It seems that the ultra-wide-angle camera is here to stay, as the same UWW camera as the predecessor is used, with a 123-degree angle of view and an f/2.4 aperture. Accordingly, there's no significant improvement visible. The shots are at a mid-range level and I like them because of the color matching with the main camera. At first glance, the difference is only in the focal length. It's fitting that the white balance is also slightly too yellow here. With a 123-degree angle, the shot is relatively wide, while the GT2 Pro and OnePlus 10 Pro now boast a 150-degree angle of view. The fisheye effect is not so pronounced here, and the distortion is limited, provided you keep the default settings. Naturally, there are fewer details, and the clear focus is missing, but that's hard to avoid with this optics. I'm quite satisfied with the photos due to the colors and the look, but the competition already had more to offer in the previous generation with the Sony IMX766 as the ultra-wide sensor, like in the Find X3 Pro. Macro shots. Xiaomi also didn't make any progress with the third camera, the macro camera, which appears to be the same 5-megapixel telephoto macro camera with an f/2.4 aperture. At least 3 cm minimum focusing distance is possible. Here, too, it's worth looking at the competition, as Oppo has already integrated a microscope camera into the Find X3 Pro. Xiaomi can't keep up with that, but I still like the macro shots above average. This is mainly due to the autofocus, as there are simply far fewer blurry shots in my camera roll. But the sharpness also surprises me. Of course, 5MP quickly reaches its limits, but the photos still impress. Especially because the color profile is vivid, partly due to a slight green tint in the photos. The 2x digital zoom also helps to get closer to the subject. The Xiaomi Mi 12's main camera boasts a new sensor that's the biggest improvement, in my opinion. We were already impressed by the Sony IMX766 and the OnePlus Nord 2, but after dealing with a 108-megapixel sensor for 2 years, reducing the megapixels alone leads to faster capture and processing. Xiaomi managed to improve the shutter speed, allowing the Mi 12 to shoot 50 photos in the same time it takes the Huawei P50 Pro to take just 17 shots. During the golden hour, we captured some impressive snapshots. Under optimal lighting conditions, the photos have great colors and high sharpness, despite having a final resolution of only 12.5 megapixels. Skin tones look realistic, and even dark blue objects look like dark blue, not black. However, higher noise can be observed in the shadows. The cyber focus is another new feature, which is an improved autofocus with follow focus that keeps the selected object in focus, even when other objects or people enter the frame. I'm surprisingly pleased with the autofocus overall, as it switches quickly and hits the mark reliably in over 90% of the photos I took. Low light shots reveal noise even in our office. With less light, the details quickly disappear, and the white balance could counteract the yellow tint even more for my taste with artificial light. However, low light photos taken in the city show much better results over time. The billboards are almost cinematic, and there are still enough details to read the signs. The ultra-wide-angle camera appears to be here to stay, with the same UWW camera as the predecessor used, featuring a 123-degree angle of view and an f/2.4 aperture. The shots are at a mid-range level, but I like them due to the color matching with the main camera. The difference is only in the focal length. It's fitting that the white balance is also slightly too yellow here. With a 123-degree angle, the shot is relatively wide, while the GT2 Pro and OnePlus 10 Pro boast a 150-degree angle of view. The fisheye effect is not so pronounced here, and the distortion is limited, provided you keep the default settings. There are fewer details, and the clear focus is missing, but that's hard to avoid with this optics. I'm quite satisfied with the photos due to the colors and the look, but the competition already had more to offer in the previous generation with the Sony IMX766 as the ultra-wide sensor, like in the Find X3 Pro. The third camera, the macro camera, appears to be the same 5-megapixel telephoto macro camera with an f/2.4 aperture. At least 3 cm minimum focusing distance is possible. Xiaomi didn't make any progress here, and it's worth looking at the competition, as Oppo has already integrated a microscope camera into the Find X3 Pro. Xiaomi can't keep up with that, but I still like the macro shots above average. The autofocus works well, as there are far fewer blurry shots in my camera roll. The sharpness also surprises me, even though 5MP quickly reaches its limits, the photos still impress. Especially because the color profile is vivid, partly due to a slight green tint in the photos. The 2x digital zoom also helps to get closer to the subject.